Hey, everybody. My name is Nick Schatz, and I'm the executive pastor here at Hershey Free Church. I asked you last week to pray with our staff and elder board as we met for our annual retreat. Hey, thank you for thinking of us. We had a great weekend together. So, here are some of the things that we talked about. We started our day coming back to a theme that we've been heralding since August: building bridges. We acknowledge that the last year has shown some internal bridges that need to be built too. Hershey Free is a large church, and therefore we represent a plethora of opinions on cultural matters. So we will keep coming back to this theme of bridge building in front of the whole church in hopes that we can all strive to know our church family members better. We also talked about some initiatives we want to prioritize over the next year. Things like remote engagement, our discipleship pathway, prioritizing young adults and intergenerational ministry, and becoming a church that is known for prayer. We have ideas for the future, so please stay tuned. I also want to remind you of something that I've said several times in recent months. We've been saying 2019 is gone forever, and we can't flip a switch and go back to 2019 ministry. And you're probably wondering, what on earth does that mean? Does it mean that we'll forever be masked and spaced apart when we come to worship? Does it mean that we'll never have our amenities back, like our coffee and donuts before services? Is my Bible study luncheon canceled forever? Hey, to be transparent, when I'm forced into change, I naturally go into defense mode like this. But I don't want you to stiffen up like me. I want you to think and pray with us about the opportunities that are before us. Someday, we will have worship services without masks. Someday, you'll get to sit within 6 feet of your friends at church. Someday, you'll get your life-infusing coffee in the lobby again, but don't allow yourself to get stuck pining for what 2019 looked like. Instead, I want to invite you to dream. I want to invite you to think like our staff and elder board have been thinking. We're all bummed out about COVID mitigation too, but we're also excited about the future. So much of what we do has moved digital, which opens up a world of opportunities. Many of our ministries that had to be done on site have been forced off site. And a lot of good has come from that. The world that our children and our teenagers and our young adults are growing up in is completely different, in part because of COVID. And if our church can adapt to new normals with them, then we will be able to engage the next generation. Now, through all this planning, there are some things that we've closed doors on and other ideas that we want to try. We talked about launching micro campuses across Central PA, but we decided that that's not the right direction for our church. Instead, we're experimenting with making online worship services more personal and more engaging. In a couple weeks, in fact, you'll notice an online host for our service or Sunday services. We've also talked about offering a maskless service for 1 hour and a masked service the other hour, but we decided that this would further divide our church. In fact, many of the churches who have done this have found out that it splits the church generationally, and we are trying to be intentionally intergenerational. So instead, we bought a tent for outdoor services. Now, I could go on forever, but I don't want to answer the questions that nobody's actually asking. So do me a favor. If you are skeptical of any of this, I want you to type up your questions and drop them in the comments or in an email directly to me. If you're entrepreneurial, I want you to send me your ideas. I don't want this communication just to be one way, so please talk back. We are in this together. And with that said, let me encourage you with the words of the Apostle Paul in his letter to the Ephesians. He writes, "I urge you with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, making every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace." Thank you for watching.